I'm back. Yeah, back to compete against amateurs in a drug-tested competition after being an IFBB pro on the Olympia stage. Coach Greg, in today's video, Jeff Seid competes yet again. He's back on stage, but no longer in the IFBB. Years ago, I made an natty or not on Jeff Seid. I said, there's no way that this guy is natural. Many people argued and said, you're just a hater, you're jealous, wah, wah, wah. How is it that after what is perhaps an 8-year layoff, the guy comes back to compete yet again, but is significantly downsized, had way less muscle than last time? And so think of it, he has a coveted IFBB pro card, but yet he shows up at an amateur drug-tested event. Why would he do that? I'll tell you why. Because he knows he would have got last place as an IFBB pro. Jeff Seid, you're thinking, oh, he's incredible, he's so aesthetic, he looks amazing. I'm not arguing this, but he doesn't have nearly enough muscle to compete with the likes of an IFBB pro. And because of that, and because of his delicate ego, he couldn't stand to compete as an IFBB pro. And so imagine this, you're an amateur competitor, 100% natural. You're looking forward to winning this competition. You train your entire life. You come to the show, and lo and behold, Jeff Seid is competing against you. You're thinking, isn't Jeff Seid an IFBB pro? Isn't this guy not even natural? And so how is he competing against me? And so it's my theory that Jeff Seid knew he didn't have enough muscle. Perhaps he wanted to compete natural. And so he showed up to the show natural on that day. Does that mean he hasn't taken Anavar, SARMs, testosterone, anything for the last several years? Of course not. But I do believe he was natural as he stood on stage on that show. If he in fact was drug tested, when the drug test results come in, I do believe he's going to pass. He had significantly less muscle than he did last time, and lucky for him, they're in fact covering up his legs. That would be his weakest body part. And so because he has naturally gifted shoulders, he has a wide clavicle and a small weight, great abs, he's going to look good on stage. And so he posts first or second. And so I'm assuming that's his main competition. And based on the photos that I'm seeing, although they look like avatars, can anyone not post what they actually look like anymore? And so I'm looking and I'm swiping to the left, and I can see a guy that has great definition, great body, but not even close to the muscle required to compete as an IFBB pro. I'm back. Yeah, back to compete against amateurs in a drug-tested competition after being an IFBB pro on the Olympia stage. I mean, in comparison to that, that would be like Michael Jordan returning to basketball to play on a high school basketball team. This is not even close to where you once were. Prime Jeff is back. Honestly, I'm going to say that Jeff had a better physique than this when he was 15. And so what does that make me believe? It makes me believe that Jeff Seid was on SARM steroids something all along. That he started at a very young age. How is it possible that a guy with gifted genetics, had he been natural in his teenage years, how is it possible that he regressed so significantly into his 20s? Last I checked, when you are 20 years of age, you're not at your genetic peak. You haven't achieved all the gains you're going to achieve in your entire life. And so how can you train for 8 years and get worse? When's the last time you saw a bodybuilder who looked better at 20 than he did at 30? You don't peak at 20, and so if you are 100% natural in your teenage years, you would look significantly better now that you're in your late 20s. Always first, had to say this, you're incredible. First all day, baby. King Seid has returned. And so what I'm seeing is all these people blowing smoke up his ass, saying, you got this, first place all the way, you're the best. Jeff Seid is an IFBB pro, the highest level, the pinnacle of achievement as a bodybuilder. Only now he returns as a drug-tested amateur competitor? It would be like Coach Greg returning. I'm competing, hey, guess what? I'm making my return. I'm going to compete at a drug-tested amateur bodybuilding competition? Really? It's the same freaking thing, Coach Greg and Jeff Seid, both IFBB pros. And so, no, I'm not impressed. And so anything under winning by a landslide to me would be an embarrassment. And so I'd much rather see Jeff compete as an IFBB pro, get his last place for not having enough muscle, and then make a post saying, hey, The standards have gotten too far. I did my best. I'm not taking steroids. This is my best physique, and I got last place. Perhaps they can lower the standards, judged based on the aesthetics and not so much on how much muscle do you possess. Had Jeff made a statement saying, hey guys, I want to come clean. Back in the day, in the old days, I was on performance-enhancing drugs. That led to me having that amazing physique. I wanted to compete this time 100% drug-free. And although I have 20 pounds less muscle, I think I still look good. And I've chosen to compete in a drug-tested sporting competition that drug tester athletes because I want clear and transparent and fair competition for everyone.
But it's important to note here that obviously Jeff was already an IFBB pro, likely taking gear.
I love that, likely taking gear.
Jeff Seid competed this past weekend in a natural organization called the INBA, where he competed as an amateur.
Here's one thing to consider. When you're an IFBB pro, you can't actually compete in a rival organization. You can't just compete here, compete there, compete everywhere. And so by Jeff competing in this amateur federation, he's essentially revoking his own IFBB pro card. Jeff Seid, in my mind, is no longer an IFBB pro. You can't just compete in this show, take performance-enhancing drugs, compete, and then say, oh, I changed my mind, I'm going to compete over here, and go back and forth, back and forth. It doesn't work like that. When you're an IFBB pro, you're an IFBB pro. You're not an IFBB pro and an INBA amateur drug-tested pro, amateur, and so on.
And Jeff looks significantly downsized here from when he was an IFBB pro.
And so the question remains, if Jeff Seid decides to say, hey, I want to now compete in an IFBB pro show, is he allowed? Because you can't simply compete in every different organization. They don't accept this. If you're an IFBB pro, you're an IFBB pro. And in my opinion, an IFBB pro, the most prestigious pro card you can get, should not be going and competing against amateur athletes. How do you think they feel? Perhaps they enjoy it. I get to lose against Jeff Seid, the famous aesthetic Greek god. Or perhaps they're thinking, I trained my ass off. I dieted for 16 weeks. I've been natural for 20 years to win this competition. And Jeff Seid, who used to probably take performance-enhancing drugs, came in and won the competition. Imagine this. Chris Bumstead next year decides to compete at a drug-tested INBA show. Should he be allowed to? Jeff Seid and Chris Bumstead, there's no actual difference. They're both IFBB pros. The only difference is Chris Bumstead is much bigger and has won the Olympia. But if Chris came back next year, can he say, hey guys, I decided to compete in an amateur drug-tested bodybuilding competition. I want my INBA pro card. Could he do it? And if he could, would the Olympia simply allow him to do it? Would say, yeah, sure, you can get your pro card over there, come back and compete over here. And the people who are competing against Chris Bumstead, the ones who are 100% natural, do you think they would enjoy this? I mean, shouldn't natural be about never having taken steroids versus just not currently taking them? Here's the thing. The drug test can't detect the steroids that you took 10 or 15 years ago. It can barely detect what you took last month. And depending on the steroids that you're choosing, you could literally take steroids for 51 weeks of the year and stop for 1 week and test 100% clean. And these are on very strong performance-enhancing drugs. Things like testosterone suspension. It's not going to be in your system after you stop taking it for a week. And so although you test clean on show day, does that actually mean you're natural? And so what do you think the chances are that Jeff perhaps dabbled a little bit in something? Perhaps some Osterine. Perhaps he's buddies with Ryan Garcia. We don't know this. And so he might have taken Osterine, Winstrol, SARMs, Rad140, MK677, Clenbuterol, T3. The list goes on and on. He could have taken these for part of the prep, stop before the show, and that's why he's significantly downsized. Remember, he has lost a significant amount of muscle. He looks much smaller than ever before. Although he's lean and conditioned, he doesn't have the size that he once had, the size that could only be achieved by using performance-enhancing drugs. And for those of you saying, no, you could achieve this physique natural. Yeah, some can. If you have amazing genetics and you train harder than last time, you perhaps could look exactly like Jeff or even significantly better. But if you're the average gym goer with average genetics, even if you take performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, growth hormone, you name it, you'll likely never, ever look this good. I thought he would compete in a pro show. Crying face, teary-eyed emoji. Pretty disappointed fan. Definitely looks natural now, but doesn't mean he was a lifetime natural. He is an IFBB pro and an Olympian competitor. Should be lifetime naturals, not pastime users turned clean. I highly have my doubts he ever did PDs. Why would you have your doubts? He's 20 plus pounds less muscle here than he was 10 years ago, but he just, naturally got old? Your testosterone levels, they decline after the age of 20? I believe he's always been natural. He was able to get his IFBB Pro card because he competed during the time when men's physique guys weren't mass monsters. Yeah, but they weren't this small. Seriously, dude, he's way smaller now than he was back then. If you put Jeff Seid's physique from 10 years ago till now, you would see a significant difference. Look at the difference in the shoulders, the chest, the sheer size, the volume. Looks significantly better when he was competing in the past. He doesn't seem much downsized. Boy, you need to get your eyes checked. The ojo, in Spanish we call ojo, your eyes. You need to have your eyes checked. Perhaps I could put you in touch with a certain eye surgeon that I know to correct your clearly deficient eye vision. He's now in his late 20s and past his prime. Perhaps you've been drinking a few too many Prime energy drinks, too much potassium, not sodium, and you're clearly thinking delusional. Past his prime in his 20s? We're not talking about SMV for a female, which peaks around 22 to 24. Sexual market value. We're not talking about that. We're talking about physical prime. In bodybuilding, no one is peaking as a teenager. Do you think that Ronnie Coleman, Kai Green, Jay Cutler, Chris Bumstead, Derek Lunsford, the likes of these guys all peaked at 20? None of them did. None. 0 people are peaking at the age of 20. At least the commenters responding make sense. Nah, guys' physiques usually peak in their 30s. He peaked at 18 when he turned pro and looked way bigger. Think of it. Do you know when I turned pro, I was 35. I'd done 50 bodybuilding competitions. 42 of them were natural, and so I did 50 bodybuilding competitions, 35 before I even turned pro, and I peaked a little bit later. I don't think physiques of natural men peak in their 30s. You can see the same in athletics and part in functional sports. Most are in their peak from 18 to 25. By 30, you're considered old if you're an athlete. Bodybuilding is not like being an athlete. It's a beauty pageant based on how big are your friggin' biceps, how shredded are you, how much density you have. It doesn't peak between 18 and 25. And so trust me, if you're 100% natural like I was, you're not peaking at age 20. You continue to improve. Imagine hearing that. Hey everybody, in today's video, I'm going to teach you that if you're natural, you peak between 18 and 25. And so if you're at the gym and you're 25, you should probably just give up. You peaked, you have no muscle left in the tank to gain. Doesn't make sense. And so I certainly hope that Jeff Seid was using Turk Builder and GO2 Max, perhaps Ecti Builder, because after all, we know how much muscle, how much endurance these products can provide. The difference is insurmountable. It's incredible. The difference between training on Turk Builder and without, it's mind-blowing. You have way more energy. You can push harder than last time. Now remember, there are possible negative side effects. For me, it negatively affected my sleep. It made me feel more anxious, more on edge. And so please use with caution. Do not purchase this if you are in fact a teenager interested in any of my harder than last time supplements. Code Greg, 15% off. Click the link in the description. And so let me know in the comments section, what do you think of Jeff? Do you think he was 100% natural entire life? Do you think he was on performance enhancing drugs and then stopped? Do you think he's still on them? What do you think of him competing in a drug-tested amateur show versus competing as an IFBB pro? Should his IFBB pro status be revoked? Let me know in the comment section, ending it here. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, watch one of those 2 bloops, at least one. Come on, give me one, watch one. Of course, you can purchase the Anabolic Cookbook. This is 3.1. You can get it in a hard copy or the PDF. There's so many other books. There's the Circle Diet book. There's training books. You can get coaching plans by me and my team. The Harder Than Last Time clothing line. Get to the website. And until next time, I am out.